It's like this, y'all. In your mind, I walk in with words that scorch, and the impact is awesome, verbally extorting every cell in your brain till the message is retained. The illest finally became, the rest sound the same. Synthetic, cosmetic, the game smooth-fetted. To 85 and streetwalkers thinking they riders, but then you got these riders to tell you what hood is. Ask for directions, don't know where the hood is. I got calls, unlock blocks and pop on infiltrators who got on through my art form. This is streets music, like drugs I use it to escape the hell and the ones who rule it. With children kill children in project buildings over chemicals that made the government billions. Meanwhile, I'm watching who's scheming and plotting on my bank account and the jewelry I'm rocking. Sneakers stay clean, I push big machines, oversized rims and mini plasma screens. I conversate with teams and tell me what they seen. The hot shit on the scene is gangsta extreme. It's in style to die and doing time to fly. You get props for getting shot and pussy if you're not. I look at them, stare back at them, then laugh at them. Get scientific with it, then spit the math at them. Break down the whole compound with small atoms so they understand, ready for war, get back at them. Cause gangsters that I knew, they told me not to do what they was physically doing, cause this is not for you. Cause they saw my future, I was like a computer being programmed with data from legends that live major. And this is what I made of, my mind stays in a state of 9/11 related, survival orientated to keep me situated when drama escalated. I thank God I made it, cause many did not make it, and all my eyes.
What's good, Giants Nation? What's going on? This is your boy S. Scott, and welcome to another episode of the Man-Cave podcast. And for new subscribers, please, if this is your first time to this channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. If this is your first time. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about New York Giants OTAs, of course, Saquon's contract, and also the draft, just to bring you back up, because this is my very first episode of New York Giants. So I just got to catch up on everything. Also from the draft and also the playoff. So without further ado, let's get it. You know what I'm saying? So first things first is like, the Giants had a new regime last year. Joe Shane and Brian Daboll came in. And of course, like everybody else, we was all skeptical because, first, this is their first job, first head coaching job, first front office job. So we didn't know what to expect. But like I said, they came in, the front office came in with their hands tied. We had a salary cap. We had to clear some cap. We had to clear like $40 million in salary cap, to get it down to, to the NFL standard for the salary cap to go into the season. So right there off the bat, we had to cut some players that we really didn't want to cut. One of them being, the cornerback was James Bradbury. That was a dude that we could have used. And, I hope it would have turned out different, but there was no way around it. So we had to release James Bradbury. So that was one of the, like I said, that was one of the worst things, like, coming to a new regime in the first year, like going into the season, I didn't even know we was going to like either make the playoffs or anything. I was expecting like 6 wins or something like that, because I understood it's like, we had like a roster that was, devoid of talent and things like that. So I know they had to get the roster back up and put some more talent on the team. And then when you come in like that, if you have no money, I was like, basically, you gotta, you're gonna get fringe players just to make ends meet and things like that. So, it would have been much different if they would have came in and had the salary cap to really go out and get some players and things like that. But that didn't happen. So, we was kind of hamstrung on that aspect. But as far as, like I said, the first year these guys came in, man, I couldn't have been even more happier, what I'm saying? And, the past Giants regimes, everybody know it for the last decade or something like that. We've been having like an incompetent, inept regime in there, what I'm saying? But the first sign that I thought that this regime was going to be good is like the first thing that they really, really, really keyed in on was the offensive line. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, let's see let's see what they can do. So they addressed that. They got like 11 offensive linemen, and they put some resources into it just to try to turn this thing around, because they understood they came from a winning organization. They came from Buffalo. So they kind of understood like how, you have to go through the trenches and things like that. So their very first job was to upgrade this offensive line. Of course, in the first year, you're not going to be able to do it because of the resources, the draft, and, you don't have the money wise to really sign players to get them in here. So, like I said, the first thing they attacked was the offensive line. I was like, okay, they look like they know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? So that was a good, encouraging sign. And then after that, like I said, They had to cut Bradbury. We had to get the salary cap down. We had to sign some guys, just to feel the competitive team out there on the field. So, I was like, okay, let's see what they can do, you know. And I mean, to our surprise, I mean, to a lot of Giants' surprise, we went 9-7. We had a great year. Nobody expected us to make the playoffs, let alone even win a game in the playoff. We ended up doing that in our very first season. It was like this is like that was a season like no one expected. So I knew right then I was like, yo, you know what? I think we got something here with this coaching staff and this new regime. It's like, yo, these guys gonna do something. These guys gonna do some good things. And like I said, I couldn't be more happier than with the work that they've done so far in only 1 year. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, getting us to the playoff 9-7. 9-7-1, getting into the playoff, winning a game in the playoff, and then losing also in the playoff to our arch rival, the Eagles. And I think, like I said, coming into the season, or ending the way the season ended, the front office and the coaching staff knew, like, okay, we see where our weaknesses are and stuff like that. Because last year we was 30th or 25th or 30th against the run. So, our run defense was gashed, and also it's like when Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams, they had to play a lot of snaps because really they couldn't come off the field. And when they did come off the field, like the reserves or the guys who was backing them up, I mean, it, it really showed because like we really couldn't do nothing. We couldn't stop the run. We couldn't do any of that stuff. So that was another thing. We couldn't stop the run. The DBs, of course, our defensive backs was not up to par. So that was another thing. I mean, we was getting beat in the run game, and also we was getting beat downfield. You know what I'm saying, or across the middle because the linebackers was not fast enough to cover tight ends. They weren't good against the run. So that was another thing that hurt our defense was the linebackers because they couldn't stop the run. I mean, the defensive tackles up there, like once they got past them, linebackers were supposed to come in there and clean it up, fill in those gaps. And they wasn't doing that. They wasn't filling the gaps, So what ended up happening? Julian Love, our safety, ended up being like, I think he led us with like 120 some tackles. When your safety it has a lot of tackles, that means that means that a lot of runners are getting to the third line of defense, and that's not supposed to happen. So this front office, like I said, after that loss to the Eagles, they put on their caps. They's like, you know what? We got to roll up our sleeves and we got to get to work. So what they did in the offseason, they shored up their weaknesses. I can be even more happier than what they did in the offseason. First things first was, we made that big trade, a third round pick, we got Darren Waller, a tight end. We finally have a legit catching tight end, a tight end that's going to put some fear into some defenses and stuff like that, a tight end that you have to respect. So that was one of the key things because we needed more weapons for Daniel Jones. That was a big thing. So they got Darren Waller. And also in the offseason, they was able to sign Ashawn Robinson and also Raheem Nunez, Roches. These are guys like, they're known for like stopping the run. They run stoppers and run stuffers, however you want to say or call it. So those are two key signings that we really needed. And like I said, it didn't even break the bank, which is a great thing because we needed depth, to spell Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams, so that was a great signing. But the big signing also in free agency was the signing of linebacker from the Indianapolis Colts, Bobby Okereke. He led the Colts last year in tackles. I think it was around like I want to say 151 tackles. So he's a physical linebacker that's going to get in there and stop the run, make tackles and things like that. And that was part of one of our biggest problems last year was tackling. So I see like they addressed that need during the offseason, with guys who could tackle, physical, things like that. And also, so those are like three big ones. And then also they signed like for depth for the cornerback position, the DB position was Amani Oruwariye. They signed him from the Lions. They also got a safety. They signed from the Commanders, which was Bobby McCain. So I can be more happy with free agency. Even with, like I said, we really didn't have that much money to go out there and sign some big name free agents. So what we did have, we made the most of what we had, which was great. So I couldn't even complain with them. Like I said, these guys know what they're doing. And then in the draft came, and bro, I could tell you all I can say is like, yo, they hit a home run in the draft. Our first three picks really all could have been first round pick or even second round, first or second round picks. So when we got Deonte Banks in the first round, I mean, that was like a godsend. You know, it was a safety that we needed. I mean, DB, a cornerback that we needed, which he's a press cornerback, you know what I'm saying, physical cornerback, and he loves to come up and make tackles. He's good against the run, something that we needed. We needed some more physicality on our defense. So that was a big plus for us when we was able to get Deonte Banks with the 24th pick in the draft. Then we turn around, and in the second round of the draft, we got our center of the future, hopefully who could be here for the next 10 years and solidify that center position for us, which was John Michael Schmitz, the center out of Minnesota. And to be honest, I didn't even think he was going to fall to us in the second round. I thought he was going to go higher, but it worked out well for us. We sat there, we was patient until he fell to us, and we went ahead and made the pick. So we secured that. We secured our center because on the offensive line, everybody knows the one constant on the offensive line and the one guy who you can trust is Andrew Thomas, the left tackle. So that was one position that was already a lock. We didn't care. You know, we knew we was good there. But the center position, like I said, has been a revolving door ever since I want to say 2017, 2018, ever since Weston Richburg left. You know, they've been trying to find a center that can just stabilize that center position. And I think we finally got one. We finally found one. And also on top of that, we finally got a center who actually plays the center position, not like a makeshift guy who moved over from guard or something like that, like we had with Nick Gates and John Feliciano and stuff like that. So we actually have a really legit center. So that was a big coup for us when we got him in the second round. And then in the third round, I didn't even think he was going to last to the third round, but he was there, and Giants had to move up like 16 spots to get Jalen Hyatt, the wide receiver out of Tennessee, the speed burner out of Tennessee, which was another play that we desperately needed on offense to give Daniel Jones more weapons. But this guy got top end speed, burner speed to take the top off of defenses. We needed that. And another thing, like I said, in the offseason, it looked like the Giants front office, like they really emphasized getting guys on the offensive side that got some speed and separation. So we got Darren Waller in the trade, for a third round pick. Then we ended up signing Paris Campbell, the wide receiver for the Indianapolis Colts, who was another speed burner. We also signed Jeff Smith from the Jets, Jamison Crowder. And then in the draft, we drafted Jalen Hyatt. So to add to Darius Slayton, our other speed burner. So like I said, I think the Giants offense, they really emphasized in the offseason was to get some more speed, separation, make this offense a dynamic offense to help Daniel Jones. So that way the Giants could go away from being just a traditional running team to now being able to pass the ball, which will make us even more explosive, because last year I think we averaged like 21, 21 points, and everybody knows 21 points is not going to get it done. So we needed to average like around at least about 26, 28 points to even be in the game. So I think what they did in the all season, that was great, to add to that because we really needed that, because like I said, we were one of the slower teams last year, offense and defense. And with this regime, it's like within a year, the turnover it's been like tremendous. Like they have added speed on both sides of the ball, things like that. Like I said, drafting Deonte Banks, stuff like that. And it's only going to get even much better. Getting Bobby Okereke for the linebacker position who can roam sideline to sideline. That's something we was missing, that we was lacking, that we needed. So we got that. So like I said, this offseason couldn't have went it couldn't have went much better than I anticipated. I was thinking about like some of the guys that I really wanted too, the linebacker position. Like I wanted what is his name? David Long Jr., but he went to the Dolphins. But like I said, when we got a Okereke, I was like, you know what? Okay, that'll work. You know what I'm saying? At least as long as this guy can tackle and make tackles, that's what we needed. We needed guys to stop the run, to get up there and be physical, say on the defensive side and help out. And I think we addressed that, like I said, with a Okereke and also got Deonte Banks. We got Ashawn Robinson and Nacho. His nickname is Nacho, but it's Raheem Nunez Roches, from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So like I said, it's like these guys just went to work, rolled up their sleeves and said, you know what? We got punched in the mouth in the playoffs all year long. We knew what our weakness was. Let's go and address it, in the off season, however we can do it. We don't have too much money to spend like that. Again, you know what I'm saying? So let's go make the most of it. And also, some of the money is because like we had to re-sign some of our own free agents. Like I said, We re-signed Daniel Jones to a 4-year, $160 million contract, only $82 million guaranteed on the first 2 years of the contract, which is great. And then we franchise tag Saquon Barkley, because we thought we could have got a long-term agreement with him, but unfortunately that didn't work out. So we'll talk about that in a little bit later. But like I said, also, so that was it. Also, the draft, Kansas City, Missouri. Like I said, I went to the draft this year. It was great. It was exciting to be there firsthand, to see these guys' names being called on stage. I was there for the first round, second round, and the third round. So I got to hear them call Deontay Banks, drafting Deontay Banks. I heard him, John Michael Schmitz and Jalen Hyatt. It was electric over there in Kansas City. It was like over 100,000 people over there. It was just a great atmosphere, to be in. If you ever do go to an NFL draft, if you haven't been to one, just go to one and, just feel the excitement and all stuff. It's this experience like nothing else. I went there with my good buddy, King J Force. We was there. We had a good time with the draft. He's a Raiders fan. So, of course, he liked his Raiders selection and things like that. But as far as, like I said, with the OTAs and stuff like that, the rookie OTAs and things like that, and some of the vets and stuff like that early on. OTAs early July. But some of the things I saw in there, of course, the big thing, Jalen Hyatt. Everybody wants to know, like, is he only got speed? Can he run a full route tree and things like that? So those are some of the questions that people have for him. And some people say that's why he slipped in the draft to the third round, because they don't know if he could run a full route tree. All they know he could do is he got speed. He's a speed burner. You know what I'm saying? So only time will tell. Like I said, I'm happy for it, like I said, because we needed somebody like that. We needed somebody to blow the top off, to keep defenses honest, and like I said, the moves that we made, I'm happy because, like I said, I think out of all the teams in the NFL, the Giants saw the most stacked box in the NFL. It's like every week it was like a stacked box to, stop the run, Saquon, Daniel Jones. And, like I said, them guys still performed, So with these new guys and these new weapons, like I said, it's going to be even more fun. It's going to be much better because now you won't see as much stacked box because now you have to respect, some of the receivers, even though it's like not a household name. But when you got speed on there, speed kills, you know what I'm saying? So you can't just come up and, stop the run because you might get beat with a slant or you might get beat, behind the defense over the top. And also Darren Waller. Now with Waller now, it helps because now you have to get a safety and you got to get some DBs over there or linebackers over there towards him, for attention. So now that takes away from the box. So now the box is going to be even less of a, like a stacked box because you have to respect Darren Waller. He is a threat. And that's another thing. Is like the more playmakers and the more threats you get, the better your offense is and the more open it is. And like I said, it'll be much better for Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley, to operate this year. So as far as like the OTAs, I saw some like, clips and things like that of, Darren Waller catching passes, Jalen Hyatt, running some routes, things like that, getting open, getting some, long touchdown runs, which is great. Also I got to see the running back from Oklahoma, Eric Gray. That'll be good too. He was a playmaker at Oklahoma, so and we got him in the fifth round. That was another thing. We got him in the fifth round. I think he should have went in the fourth or could have snuck in the third, but he went in the fifth round. So that was another big gift for us. Like I said, overall, like I said, I graded our draft class this year. I gave the Giants an A to an A plus. Like I said, there's no way you could tell. If you had told me before the draft that we would have been able to get 3 possible first round picks in the first 3 rounds, I'd have said you're nuts or something like that. There was no way. But like I said, I was so happy with the way the outcome turned out. We got the cornerback we needed. We got the center we needed. And we also got the receiver, the receiver that can stretch the field and, and blow the top off. So those are 3 big accomplishments. And also we got the running back, a backup running back like Eric Gray. And then also we got some safeties, Trey Hawkins the third, and also Javarius Owens, in the 7th round. And we got another defensive tackle, Jordan Riley out of Oregon, another big guy, for run stuff up, to clog up the middle. So that was great, man. I could never ask for a better draft and free agency. Like I said, to me, the Giants totally hit it out the park in both aspects of it. depend on like the money that we had. Next year we should have a lot more money free up, but also we have to extend, you know, was that Andrew Thomas? We have to extend Andrew Thomas and possibly Xavier McKinney. So that'll be another thing that we'll have to allocate some money towards. But this offseason was able to re-sign Daniel Jones and also was able to re-sign Dexter Lawrence. One of the best defensive tackles in football. I think he was a second team All Pro, just like Andrew Thomas, second team All Pro. But Dexter Lawrence he was a man. He was a man possessed this year, man. He was one of the top defensive tackles in football. He was a beast. He was beasting, and I expect even more from him this year. He's like our defensive, leader on defense. Front is like he's going a lot of respect. Dexter Lawrence pushed that pocket. That's also going to help with him and Leonard Williams. Playing together. They don't play together for the last 3-4 years, so it's like, they are getting really acclimated to each other, and that also going to make it easier for like the defensive ends like Azeez Ojulari and also Kayvon Thibodeau, the edge rushers. If they can push that pocket back, then it makes it easier for those two guys to do their work on the outside. The only thing with those two guys, like they just got to stay healthy. That's the only thing with them is health. But if they're healthy and they play a full season, we're going to see a lot of good results. And I think Kayvon Thibodeau is really going to show everybody what he can do. Because last year he came on in the second half of the season, as he got acclimated to the NFL speed and things like that, and the nuances and things like that. So I think that was good for him, to learn that, because he is a fast player. He has it. You can see it in games. When you watch the games, you can see he has that it factor, and that's some of the things that we didn't have in the past. With the last couple of regimes, like they were just picking guys like not even making impact. But like I said, this front office made sure they got some impact players. And then also on the offensive side, on the offensive line, Evan Neal, like I said, Evan Neal, this is going into his second year. I know everybody was down on him and saying already labeled him a bust. But you also have to realize that even Evan Neal said, like, for the first time, this is going to be, I think this is going to be his consecutive year playing the same position. So ever since high school, he's been playing a different position on the line. And when you keep doing that, it's like you don't have no stability. So you're going to go from one spot to the other spot to the other spot. And it's like, and coming from Alabama, he was a left tackle. But when he got drafted to the Giants, they drafted him as a right tackle. So when you leave the left tackle and go to the right tackle, now you have to change your stance. You have to change your motion and things like that. So that was a learning experience for him. He was also injured, so that also played a part in it too. But like I said, in the offseason, you can see he really put his effort into it. Working out with the All Pro Willie Anderson, and also working on his his moves, his footwork, and things like that, which is the most important thing. So, like I said, coming to the second season, I think Evan Neal will be much better. He's going to be more prepared. He's already seen it, and he already played a year in the NFL, so he's already seen NFL speed. He knows what to expect now, things like that. Will he struggle a little bit? He may struggle a little bit, but like I said, I have all the confidence in the world. Like I said, he's going to be an all-pro right tackle for us in the future. Like I said, he's a big kid. He's a strong kid, so I expect better things from him. I mean, Andrew Thomas was the same way too. A lot of people label him as a bust, when we first drafted him. But, it takes some time, and now look at him now. I mean, he's an all-pro left tackle. He's one of the best left tackles in football, So it's like you say, you've got to give these guys time to grow. We've got to give them time to And also, you have to look at the coaching staff. This is the first time we have a coaching staff that's actually going to be here, with some consistency and things like that for a second year. All the other coaching staff to me, they was unequipped. They was incompetent. And when that happens, it's like you're not going to get good results because you don't have a coaching staff that's really developing the guys the right way. But when you get a new coaching staff that knows what they're doing and it shows what they're doing, it's like these are the same guys that was under the old regime, and people's labeling them a bust or they weren't good. Now look at them in 1 year with a good coaching staff, a new coaching staff, and these guys are picking their game up. They're on an all-pro team and all that stuff. So it tells you like developing and also coaching is a big thing too. So those are things we got to account for and things like that. So like I said, on the offensive line, like I said, got Andrew Thomas, that's a given. So if John Michael Schmitz can solidify that center position, and also if Evan Neal improves on the right side, on the right tackle on that side, that's even a huge bonus. Now, the only thing is the guards, so we got Glowinski coming back at right guard. he was okay, things like that. But the left guard, that's where we had a lot of problems. There's a lot of shuffling with the left guard position during the season because injuries was a part of the game. You had Ben Bredesen going out, things like that. Shane Lemieux, he's never there, but he was the starter early in the season, but he got injured. And then you had Josh Azidu. He was a rookie last year, and he got injured too. So it was almost like a revolving door there. So it was no consistency. So whereas this year's coming up is like, I hope they can solidify that position right next to Andrew Thomas, and John Michael Schmitz could do his work. And like I said, start building this offensive lineup because I think our offensive line last year was ranked like 30th or something like in the 30s. Like, more, I mean, with more coaching and better and more stability, I hope to see that go up and these guys improve to get that offensive line because we need the offensive line to give Daniel Jones time to throw the ball or even give the running back holes, to make plays happen and things like that. So the offensive line is important, like I said. So with the guys coming back again under the same regime, like that's a great thing. With the stability and things like that to help. With that. So I'm excited about that. I'm really excited. I'm actually excited about the Giants season coming up. Can't wait for it to get started. In about 6 or 7 weekends from now and stuff like that. The first game of the season against the Dallas Cowboys. September 10th. Getting ready for that. Football is back. That's a great thing. Like I said, and you're always happy, like I said, when you feel your team is, got some more talent upgrade, got some better players and things like that to make it much. So it should be good, much fun, watching like, say the OTAs and watching the guys get acclimated to the Giants. And, another thing that Daniel Jones had, like, every year he get the guys together, receivers and things like that to build some camaraderie and things like that. And also to build a chemistry with these guys. So that's a good thing. They went out to Arizona for like, I want to say like a couple of weeks or something like that out there throwing the ball. Paris Campbell, Waller, Slayton. Matter of fact, everybody was there. All the Giants receivers were there. The tight end Waller was there. Things like that. So that was a good bonding stuff, and getting the chemistry together and stuff like that. Get the playbooks and things like that together. So that was great. And then like I said, and then coming to OTAs and stuff like that, so to get more comfortable. And then also like during the OTAs that I saw, I read and I saw like Jalen Hyatt was staying after a lot with Daniel Jones to get things down pat, get the chemistry together, things like that, learn the playbook and things like that. Also helping with his routes, things like that. So, those are things that really helps, things that we don't see, or read about too much, But these are things that guys are doing right now. Like I said, they're putting in the work, do much better to get this thing going. And like I said, I think this season we're going to be more proud of the Giants. Yeah, they have a tough schedule. I think they got like, I want to say like the 8th toughest schedule. But, the talent that we have upgraded and things like that, we should be much better and we'll be ready. What I'm saying? Last year we caught teams by surprise. This year we're not going to catch nobody by surprise. So everybody's going to be ready. So we got to be ready to go out the gate. I know another emphasis last year was we started a lot of games slowly. We came out the gate real slow. And I know that was a big emphasis by Mike Kafka in the offseason, try to speed up the offense, get these guys out. And that was another thing I think is because last year we didn't have the good receiving core. So sometimes when you don't have a good receiving core and the receivers don't separate or they don't have too much speed like that, it's almost like it's a timing play. So the timing be off. It's like, you need more time. It's like for these guys to get into their routes or things like that and that those things off. But now with this year, like I said, and that's why they emphasize speed and separation. So that way they give the quarterback quicker time to throw the ball, and these guys are going to be in their routes and they're going to be ready to receive the ball and things like that and help the offense. And also they could turn a small game, small catch into a big game, especially if you're catching a pass over the middle like a slant or like an out or something like that. Like I said, with these guys' speed, they're going to be in space. So when they catch the ball, they can just dart upfield, do what they got to do, yards after the catch, things like that, So that'll be great. But like I said, I know the emphasis was to this season, coming to the season for the offense was to start faster because a lot of times last year in the games, we started off very slow. We wasn't scoring no points in the first quarter. We had to score points in the second quarter. And, we was going some 3 and outs and stuff like that. So I think that was the emphasis to give Daniel Jones more weapons, and also another thing is like the Giants, for Giants for the last, I'll say 4 or 5 years, they've been known as a running team. And I think this year the Giants are trying to go more from a running team to a passing team. That's why, like I said, they're trying to upgrade the talent in the wide receiver position and stuff like that. And eventually we're going to get there. We're going to slowly transition from a running team to a passing team, to be making more balance. Because as you saw last year, in the beginning of the season, we were more of a running team. We relied on Saquon. But by the middle part of the season towards the end, that's when we started like going more towards the pass, and we passed more in the second half of the season. Some people say Saquon was worn down, but I don't think it was. I think it was just like they wanted to do that just to give the balance so that we won't be so reliant on one aspect of the game, which is good, and we needed that. So, on the offensive side, like I said, that was our main thing on the offensive side, was to get more playmakers, get more guys in space, things like that to open up the offense. And also not to be more, also so we won't be predictable and things like that. So teams don't know exactly what's coming at them. They could see some things, but now it's a little bit different now when you got some receivers that actually got some speed. So that's another thing. That's another weapon. It's like, guys won't be like, the boxes won't be stacked and cornerbacks won't be coming up, safeties won't be coming up to, stop the run or intermediate pass. Like now they're gonna have to play back, so that'll open up the middle more for us to like get guys like Waller in the middle, Paris Campbell, slot guys, open, things like that. So that should be fun. And then on the defensive side, like I said, our physicality as far as like the run defense was lacking. And so a lot of teams took advantage of that too. They had some big games, like over 200 and something yards rushing, 180 yards rushing. And you're not going to win too many games like that, because then that means your defense is on the field a lot and your offense is hardly on the field. So our defenses got worn down because of the run, things like that. They couldn't get off the field on third down. But now this year, when you got guys that can stop the run, so now you go, and which is a good thing, because now you want to make teams one dimensional. Like, okay, we're going to take away one aspect from you. Stop the run so you can pass the ball. Now you pass the ball. Now you got better DBs too. You got Dory Jackson on one side, and you got Deontay Banks on the other side, which I expect him to win that position, Deontay Banks. And then, like I said, you got Amani Oruwariye from the Lions and things like that. So I can see the Giants going to some five DBs or something like that in some plays, because Wink Martindale, he loves to blitz. The Giants were the most blitzing team on defense. And when you blitz, what happens is when you blitz a lot, you're going to leave a lot of cornerbacks on the island. So if you have more cornerbacks out there sometimes, then it's even better, because, like I said, those guys are faster, so they can cover more grounds and things like that, which is better for us. So our main thing last year, like I said, was stopping the run and tackling. And I think they addressed that in the offseason, like I said, with Okereke, the linebacker from the Colts, and also Deontay Banks, the rookie out of Maryland, the DB that we picked in the first round. And also, like I said, with Ashawn Robinson, the guys up front. So hopefully those guys up front, will stop the run up there in the beginning, before they get to the second line and to the third line, which will help out a lot, So like I said, the front office rolled up their sleeves. They saw where we were lacking at, things like that. They addressing it. And little by little, they putting this team together, again, more talent on this team, which is a great thing. Actually getting some real talent, on this team, because, like I said, the past regime, these guys are just picking players, and before we know it, it's like them guys wasn't playing. They were out of the league, and also free agency was like one of the worst, because we was just signing guys to like contracts like Nate Solder, Patrick Omama, people like that, Kenny Galladay, these guys that really were big contracts that was draining our salary cap. And that was another thing. You looked at last year, Kenny Galladay, the signing that we had from a couple of years ago. When this front office came in and this coaching staff came in, they wasn't putting up with all that lackadaisical effort and things like that. If you wasn't helping the team and things like that, you weren't playing, regardless of how much you got paid. And that showed from the very beginning with Kenny Galladay. It's like he was getting benched. They wasn't even going to him. I think it came to the point where out of 17 games, I think he only played probably like 5 or 6 games, because they was like having him like on the bench, or they'll have him come in for like one play, and that's about it. I mean, he caught his first touchdown like the last game of the season, I believe, against the Eagles, and that was it. That's his whole Giants highlight for 2 or 3 years he's been here. For $72 million, we paid for one touchdown, But there goes again. I mean, that was a bad signing, because Kenny Galladay basically is a a jump and catch guy. He just jumps up and catch the ball. That's not what we needed. We needed a number one wide receiver that can get separation guys. And his route running was flawless, and we didn't have that Kenny Galladay. He was just a jag, just another guy. You can't just be signing just another guy and giving them like a wide receiver one money when they're not a wide receiver one. And that was one of our biggest, you know, mistakes. But that was, like I said, that was the past regime. This regime came in, they rolled up their sleeves, they cleaning up the mess, and like I said, they got us headed in the right direction. So I'm happy. Like I said, the Giants, I can't say enough about this front office. I'm happy with what they're doing. I'm happy with what they've already done, and I'm happy what they're going to do going forward. Like I said, it's only going to get better from here because, like I said, next year we'll have more money. We'll have another draft to replenish more talent and upgrade the talent. That's what we want to do that, so that way we can close the gap in the division with the Eagles, the Cowboys, things like that, because it's very important when you're trying to change the culture, which we are starting to do. We're trying to change the culture of the team. And in order to do that, the first line of business is your division. So we have to get much better in our division because for the last, I want to say 7, 8 years, we've been getting swept by the Eagles, the Cowboys. I mean, Washington is like the only team that we really like, have competed and beat, what I'm saying? So it's almost like every year, in order to be good, you either got to go 500 in your division or you got to go 4-2, something like that. But you can't go 2-4 or 1-5 every year in your division. That's not going to cut it. And that's why we've been having losing records. Once you start winning in your division and start beating the teams, in your division, now you're starting to like really like, pick your game and pick the level of competition goes up. Now you get much better. Also, you're going to end up getting in the playoffs a lot more if you start winning in your division and having a good, having an over 500 record in your division. So that's another thing. Like I said, with this regime coming in there, we're closing the talent gap. It's not there yet, but we're building it slowly but surely. Right now it's like the Eagles is up there and then the Cowboys, but I really feel like we were right there with the Cowboys and we're not too far. So, I can't wait for that first game of the season. Everybody be excited for it. Football be back. I'm saying? The Giants will be back trying to do our thing. I'm saying? It's like changing the culture here is, it's actually refreshing, that the Giants are even being competitive right now after the last two regimes that we had. So it's been real good. But like I said, and of course, the big news was yesterday, for the deadline for Saquon Barkley and the Giants to come to an agreement with the contract. And I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I'm like a little disappointed. What I'm saying? Because I really do like the players, and I'm always for the players to get their money and things like that. And I know like everybody's saying like, like the NFL, they devaluing the running back position, which is kind of tough because these guys are the cowbells. And people can say what they want to say, but these guys are putting their bodies on the line and all this stuff, getting carries and stuff like that. Their position is valuable, even though the NFL owners are trying to devalue it, which I don't agree with. But, and like just like I was talking with my friend today, it's just like, and everything is like, and sports is like, when the league shift or go into a different facet, like, back in the day, football was more about that physical running type. If you had a physical team, like a running team, you was winning a lot of games because that means you can pound these teams and you can keep them off the field and you can win a lot of games. Now it's almost like it's going to like a, not a physical game, but like a finesse game because it's more of the air attack, the air raid, because they want shootouts. They want higher scoring games. They don't want no low scoring games. They don't want no 17-14 or 13-10 games. They want to see like 38-32 games, 38-31, 31-24. They want games like that because they, and that's why they made a lot of rules that you can't touch players at a certain position, at certain yards and stuff like that. So that way they can open up the game more. And, when that happens, it's almost like they devalue a position like the running back position because they're telling you like, okay, well, we really don't need you that much. Your position ain't as much. We're more about the quarterbacks and the wide receivers and things like that. You guys are like, your position is going down because we're going more for the passing game instead of the run game. But in all essence, that's not true because in the playoffs, even when you get a big lead and stuff like that, you want to go to the run game so you can eat clock and shorten the game. Everybody knows that. So you need a good running game. If you don't have a good running game, you're not going to do that. You're not going to be able to shorten the game and eat clock because then you're going to get stopped. Then it's going to turn to a waste of downs. So it's like a double-edged sword. But as far as the Saquon thing, like I said, I was the most disappointed because, like I said, I just the Giants and Saquon had like 8 months to get this contract together because it started during the in November during our bye week during the season that they first talked about the contract. From right there, like they said, from November until now, I think they should have come up with something, you know, and all the stories are conflicting as far as the guarantee money and the annual, the money per year, which I always thought it was always the guarantee money because everybody who knows football knows. I mean, yeah, they could tell you that you're getting like 12 million a season, but it's more of the guarantee money, what you're getting guaranteed. You know what I'm saying? That's what the players go by, the guarantee. And I think on Saquon's agent, and I don't know if this is true or not, but if I was Saquon's agent in November and I know like the franchise tag is 10 million this season and it's 12 million next season, I'm gonna start with 22 million guarantee. That's where we're gonna start from. I think if they'd have started from 22 million guarantee from there, I think they would have got a deal done. Be like, probably go to 24 million and that would have been it, but I don't know what happened or how it happened, but it's like they never could come up to a agreement. Early on they saying Saquon wanted 16, the Giants was offering like 13 or 14, and he didn't want that. That's Christian McCaffrey money, but then he said he didn't want to reset the market. But you don't know who to believe or what you're hearing. So, you know, it is what it is. But like I said, I thought like by yesterday, the 4 p.m. deadline, I thought a deal was going to get done. I thought they eventually was like going to get a deal done. And then you come to find out that they didn't get a deal done because it came down to $1 or $2 million. I was like, $1 or $2 million, that's it? I mean, to me, I'm like, yo, go ahead and give him 1.2, 1 or 2 million extra. Give it to him, just get this deal done. But then I guess it's like, well, no, they didn't want to do it because it's like they drew a line in the sand and they wasn't going past it and things like that. So you don't know what to believe. So now the only thing now for the Saquon this year is like he either gonna have to play on the tag, sign the tag and play on the tag for this season, or he's gonna sit out. Which I mean, a lot of people are saying that they don't see him doing that, but who knows? It's up to Saquon what he wants to do. You know, like I said, because Saquon's whole thing is like he just wanted to get from the Giants what he thought he was worth and value. To get a long term deal done, and that didn't happen. So it's like here we are now. It's just like so. Saquon, is he going to sit out, miss the first game of the season against the Cowboys, or is he going to sit out the whole season? Because every game he sits out is going to be $560,000 season game check that he's not going to get. But if he doesn't sign the tag, then he's out for the season. And the Giants can't do nothing. They can't do no contract with him until after the season's over. So that means he's going to miss the whole season. And then they're going to come back to the table and see if they could do something. But I'm in the belief that if they didn't get a long-term deal done this year, and then he's going to be a year older, then I don't know why would they want to come back to the table and do a long-term deal if they couldn't get a deal done this year. You see what I'm saying? But stranger things have happened. Maybe they might change their mind. Cooler heads may prevail, and they might come and think about it. Or Saquon might come and like, hey, we'll take this and blah blah blah, for 2 more years and see what happens. But that's going to be the storyline. I know that's going to be the storyline for this whole season coming up. Is like with Saquon is like, is he going to show up? Is he going to sit out? What is he going to do? So that's going to be another draining thing for this whole season that might carry on into the season. Or he might decide like come to training camp, at the end of training camp or whatever, and then play out the season and ball out of control and see, if he can get that big, that contract that he wants, see what happens. But everything is going to be on Saquon, see what he wants to do because right now the ball's in his court. Only thing he can do is either sign the tag or sit out for the season, or you know just sign and just ball out, see what you can do. Like I said, me personally, like I said, if it was up to me, I would have signed him because I know everybody talk about, oh, you don't give running backs money, you don't do this. It's like, but if the running back is like the best player on your team, and regardless of position, I'm going to pay the guy. Like I said, I mean, because Saquon has been nothing but a model citizen for the Giants, things like that. What I'm saying? He's played games, what I'm saying? Yeah, he has gotten hurt, which, a lot of other players get hurt too and stuff like that. He came back last year. Like I said, he had a great season, and then like I said, then you got to look at the Giants side. Maybe they want to see him do it for another year, see if he could come back and do it. And then if he do it for another year, they'd be like, you know what? Let's go ahead and give it to him. Let's get this deal done. Let's keep him for another couple more years and stuff like that. So, like I said, this season is going to be very interesting for the Giants as far as Saquon thing. But like I said, as far as like the overall, I know a lot of people ain't giving the Giants a shot if Saquon sits out the season and stuff like that. Which it would hurt the Giants, but then it's like now the Giants have to go into another what you call it. They have to give the running back, the backup running back Eric Gray a chance. Other people chance. Oh, who knows? They might sign another running back. Dalvin Cook is out there. Other people's out there. So they might just sign like for the year or something like that. Do that and see what happens. But like I said, I'm very interested to see, like I said, with the upgrade and stuff like that. Brian Dable's coach, Mike Kafka, I trust those guys to see what they're going to do on offense. Like I said, it's going to be very good, very interesting to see, how the season turns out for the Giants and things like that. But like I said, as far as the Saquon contract, I was a little bit disappointed about it. But at the end of the day, it's like I can understand it. Like I said, if they can get it done within 8 or 9 months, then you know, it just like I said, sometimes this doesn't make sense. But hey, who knows, man? Like I said, they almost came up to a deal, but they didn't come up with a deal. So it's like it hurts. Like I said, Saquon is a good player. He's a great player. You know what I'm saying? And he's a special back. I know some people like this, like, he's like a running back or dime a dozen. Yeah, running back's a dime a dozen, but this guy's a special player. Some the things that Saquon could do on the field, a lot of running backs can't do on the field. You know what I'm saying? Not every running back can do that. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like you have to take into account like what he's meant to your team, how he's been for your team, and things like that. So I know some other players, people say like, well, when he was on the team, it was like we didn't win too many games, but yeah, it's very hard to lead a team to win a record when you're a running back. Yeah, you can win some games and stuff like that, but it's kind of hard from that position, you know what I'm saying? But for the most part, like he performed and things like that. So, and then also, like I said, the coaching staff, the time he's been here, the time Daniel Jones been here, they've been having poor coaching staff and stuff like that. This is the very first time that they have a capable, competent coaching staff. So it could only get better from here. And also, like I said, this will be like going into the second year of it. So that'll be even much better, the stability and things like that, the nuances. And then, what I'm saying, with familiarity, things like that, so it's all good. But like I said, I can't wait for the season to get started. And I know they got I think 3 or 4 preseason games, which you really ain't going to see too much in there because you're usually in the preseason games, teams like they're gonna do a vanilla. They're gonna go vanilla. You ain't gonna see too much. You ain't gonna see. And so, some people like, man, this team look the same. They ain't doing nothing. It's like, bro, they gonna look vanilla. They ain't doing nothing. You can't put no stock into the preseason. You know what I'm saying? Until you see the regular season games and see, you know, which it should be good. But yeah, but like I said, as far as the Giants OTAs with the rookies and stuff like that, getting acclimated, which is a great thing. The free agency, like I said, the Giants did a great job in one season. In one season, we have totally turned around the franchise. Going from a losing franchise to a franchise that was in the playoffs. So that's a great thing now. You know what I'm saying? Now we just got to keep it going. We got to upgrade the talent, do a little bit more, things like that. But like I said, when more money opens up, more opportunities arise, and also great decision making because just because you got money doesn't mean that you have to overpay for people. You have to get the right people, the people that fit your team, that fit your system, that fit your scheme. That's what you got to go for. Guys is going to perform also. You can't just sign guys to outlandish contract and then they come here and then they be a flop. So but like I said, I believe in this franchise. I believe in this front office and things like that. So we'll see what happens with the Giants going forward this season. But like I said, I'm very excited about this team. I'm very excited about the future. And like I said, I couldn't be more happier. Like I said, this year, like I said, was a great year. Hopefully, this season coming up is going to be a great season. Hopefully, we take the next step up and advance more and things like that. So we'll just have to wait and see. But like I said, that's all for right now. It's like you could catch us next time. Like I said, right now is the summertime, but during the regular season, like I said, when football season comes up, when the Giants season come up, I'm gonna be on here like Tuesdays and Thursday, and I'm gonna do some. Also gonna do some going live like right after the game, the recaps and things like that, because I know people gonna want to get things off their chest. I want to get things off my chest to see, what I'm saying, what happened in the game and things like that. So yeah, so I'll be on here some Sundays too, like right after the game to do some live shows and recaps and things like that. So everybody can vent and get their frustration out. Or I can vent, get my frustration out and what happened and what didn't happen and things like that. So like I said, just because we're gonna be on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Like I said, but during the regular season, I'm going to be on some Sundays, doing some live recaps and things like that. But, that's all my thoughts, what I'm saying, as far as that and things like that. Wish for a great season. Thank you for checking out the Man Cave podcast. And also, If you like the content, like I said, please hit that like and subscribe button, and also hit the notification button. And also, if you want to say some comments, you could just leave some things down in the comment section down there, and let me know, what what do you want to talk about, what you want to hear, and things like that. And also, thanks for joining us. Like I said, you guys have a good evening, man. Thanks for joining the Man Cave podcast.
It's like this, y'all. In your mind, I walk in with words that scorch, and the impact is awesome, verbally extorting. Every cell in your brain till the message is retained. The illest finally came, the rest sound the same. Synthetic, cosmetic, the gang spoon-fed it. To 85 of street walkers thinking they riders. And then you got these riders that tell you what hood is. Ask for the rest who don't know where the hood is. I got calm, unlock blocks and pop on. Infiltrators who got on through my art form. This is streets music like drugs I use it to escape the hell and the ones who rule it. With children kill children and project buildings over chemicals that made the government billions. Meanwhile, I'm watching who's scheming and plotting on my bank account and the jewelry I'm rocking. Sneakers stay clean, I push big machines, oversized rims and mini plasma screens. I conversate with teens and tell me what they seen. The hot shit on the scene is gangsta extreme. It's in style to die and doing time to fly. You get props for getting shot in the pussy if you're not. I look at them, stare back at them, then laugh at them, get scientific with it, then spit the math. Atoms, break down the whole compound with small atoms. If they understand, ready for war, get back at them. Cause gangsters that I knew, they told me not to do what they was physically doing. Cause this is not for you. Cause they saw my future. I was like a computer being programmed with data from legends that live major. And this is what I made of. My mind stays in a state of 9/11 related, survival orientated to keep me situated when drama escalated. I thank God I made it cause many did not make it. And all my eyes see is what could have been me. A high school dropout, killer that copped out.